Hi, I'm Beth Comstock. I'm in Austin, Texas for the South by Southwest conference, and I had a chance to sit down with Steve Case, an amazing entrepreneur, the founder of America Online, and Steve is making a great case for the third wave.
Hi, I'm Steve Case here in Austin at the South by conference, and it's great to be here with Beth. And I'm a co-founder of America Online over 30 years ago, when only 3% of people were online, believe it or not. And now I'm the chairman of the Case Foundation, also run an investment company called Revolution.
So we're looking at the future, and I think you're somebody who really defined the future if you think of America Online, but you saw it early. I mean, in your book, you look at things you were doing papers in college about the future. How do you see the future?
Well, I think you pay attention. I think a lot of this is just pattern recognition. If you're curious and watching a lot of things and reading a lot of things and listening to a lot of things and meeting a lot of people and bumping into ideas at places like South by, and you're noticing and then you're trying to figure out how to connect the dots, I find it allows you to kind of get a theory of the future, a theory of where things are going. You can't predict exactly what's going to happen. You can't predict the timing of what's going to happen, but you have a sense of where things are going. And when you have a sense of where things are going, then you can figure out how to position yourself as an individual in your career or your company or whatever organization you might be part of to be part of. That's what they said about Wayne Gretzky. The reason he was such a great hocky player is he didn't focus on where the puck was, he focused on where the puck was going.
Yeah.
And if you have a sense of where things are going, have a sense of the context that you likely will be there in 10, 20 years, then you can start figuring out how to navigate.
It seems you've always been that way, is that right? Or did you have to learn how to see these patterns and make yourself available? A lot of people don't think they have time to see these kind of things.
Yeah, I think I developed it over time. I did get lucky when I was, as you mentioned, as I was in college. I read a book by Alvin Toffler called The Third Wave that talked about his view of the future.
And he was a futurist.
He was a futurist, and he talked about the first wave being the agricultural revolution, the second wave being the industrial revolution, the third wave being essentially the digital revolution, the internet. And I was mesmerized by it, so I knew that's what I wanted to do. But when I graduated from college in 1980, there were no internet companies to go to, and there wasn't a startup culture back then, so I ended up working for some big companies, Procter & Gamble, and then the Pizza Hut division of PepsiCo for a few years, and finally found my way into the startup world. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to kind of be kind of fearless, and you're going to have to be kind of leaning into the future, recognizing that by definition that means it's uncertain because nobody can predict with precision what's going to happen next. But if you at least are paying attention and have a kind of a theory of the case, you're less likely to be surprised, and you're more likely to figure out how to turn that into a benefit, turn that into a positive.
So talk a little bit about policy. I mean, you put it out in your book. You've been very engaged yourself in different administrations, and a lot of entrepreneurs think, I don't want anything to do with government. I want to disrupt it. What do you tell them?
I understand that, and it is frustrating to deal with government. Some regulations are kind of stupid. I acknowledge that. But the way I think about it, and maybe it's just because I've lived in D.C. for 3 decades and watched the development of the internet, which was funded by the government through DARPA research. The judicial decision breaking up the phone companies by Judge Green was a big deal. Commercializing the internet, Congress passed something called the Telecom Act. When we started AOL, it was still illegal for consumers or businesses to connect to the internet.
Is that right?
It required the legislation to basically provide commercial access. So watching that develop and seeing how profound the impact in the world it was, but it required some policy decision, I think helped inform my perspective. And I just think if you're going to deal with things like the food our kids eat or the drugs our parents take or how we move around, whether it be drones in the sky or driverless cars or trucks on the road, there's going to be some regulation. There are going to be some rules of the road. There's such important aspects of our lives, and there's such huge sectors of the economy that goes with the territory. So rather than run for it or just whine about it, just lean into it and just try to figure out a way to build your business in that context with some respect for the policy. Doesn't mean you don't want to change some policies so they make it easier to innovate. You can be more agile, you can be more nimble. Of course, there'll always be a push to do that, but at least the entrepreneurs, the innovators in this third wave have to understand the importance and the centrality in some instances of policy.
Last question I'd love to ask you is, in the third wave, what are a couple of things that really excite you that you see on the horizon?
Well, at a macro level, what excites me most is what I call the rise of the rest. Entrepreneurship in the last decade, in the second wave, has really been limited to a few places. Silicon Valley, Boston, New York City, those states, California, New York, and Massachusetts, last year got 78% of venture
amazing.
capital. So the other 47 states only got 22%. So we're trying to level the playing field in place so everybody, everywhere has a shot at the American dream. And the data also is pretty bad, actually terrible around women. Over 90% of venture capital last year went to men, 10% to women, about 1% went to African Americans. So how do you make sure that everybody has the opportunity that entrepreneurs here at South by have, that everybody feels like they really do have a shot at the American dream, no matter what they look like, no matter where they happen to live, no matter what school they went to or who they happen to know. How do we level that playing field? I think that will result in a more inclusive and more impactful society and country.
Well, congratulations on all you're doing, and here's to the next release of Third Wave. So we're looking forward to seeing it. Comes out soon, right? In paperback?
Mid-April.
Good. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thanks, Beth.